to Weather Underground. Well, a change in our warming climate leading to more extreme weather events, and hurricanes could be one of them. Our climate specialist Carl Parker with us tonight. Carl, in particular, it's intensity that seems to be the thing that's affecting, that's being affected because of climate change here.
Absolutely, and let's take a look at some video of Hurricane Dorian. This is from 2019. This was an incredibly strong storm, 185 miles per hour as it moved into the northern Bahamas. So it was tied for the strongest Atlantic hurricane at landfall by wind speed in Atlantic Basin history. Absolutely devastating in the Bahamas, and if it had been 90 miles farther west in South Florida, it would have been probably one of the worst disasters we've ever seen in the U.S. A really intense storm, and it was not a one-off. We've seen a lot of this kind of thing in recent years. In fact, you look at the top 10 most intense storms by pressure, 5 have occurred in the last 15 years. Now, this is a plot from Dr. Carrie Emanuel, MIT, and what we're looking at here is sea surface temperatures in the middle of the Atlantic. That's the blue line. And then we've also got in the red line the power dissipation index. So that's a measure of the total amount of wind energy produced by hurricanes. You see there's a lot of correlation between those two, and you see that they move along pretty much in the same range for many decades. And then finally, just in the last few decades, you can see there is a jump right up there like that. So that is sea surface temperatures getting warmer, and that's more wind energy being produced by tropical cyclones, by Atlantic hurricanes in particular in this case. Now let's take a look at another video. This is from Patricia in Mexico, and you may not have heard about this storm. This is 2015. It moved into a relatively rural area, so it didn't cause a tremendous amount of damage, but this is one of the strongest storms that we've ever seen in recorded world history. I want to show you another graphic here. This is a plot of wind versus pressure. So that is pressure going down there on the y-axis, and this is wind speed getting stronger there on the x-axis. So what we see here is a very well-defined pressure-wind relationship. As storms get stronger, as the pressure gets lower, the wind gets higher. Now here you see there are hundreds of cases, and this is every tropical cyclone in recorded world history, talking about typhoons, cyclones, hurricanes, and you see hundreds of cases there in these boxes. Then as we get into these stronger areas, category 3 and 4, we're into tens of cases, and then in the very end here, the very strongest storms by wind and pressure, we're into single numbers. That right there is Typhoon Tip. That is the strongest storm in recorded world history by pressure, with a pressure of 870. But there is the initial analysis of Patricia, that little star, and that was the final analysis of Patricia, a pressure of 872 and a wind of 215 miles per hour. So you can see where that sits relative to all of those other storms. It's basically off the charts there, and this is the type of thing that has us very worried. Now, there is a big caveat. I want to show you some video of the hurricane hunters and think about, all the data that we get from these storms. The satellite era has only been about 50 years now, and we were looking at storms prior to that. Hurricane hunters were up in the 40s and 50s, but at that time, they were actually looking out the window using their eyes to check the sea state to determine what was going on with wind speed. And so obviously the technology has vastly improved over many decades. We've got a much better sense of what exactly is going on with the storm. So it's possible that there were some stronger storms in the past, and we just didn't realize that. But I want to show you some synthesis data here, and what the GFDL is saying is that tropical cyclone intensities may increase in intensity by 1 to 10% within the next 2 to 3 decades. So obviously that would be substantial. Mike, back to you.
Carl, I want to ask you here about the practice